we have a 45-minute period to really engage with the question of Western Ghats looking into the future. And it's not 25 years. So feel free to go beyond.
I'm completely unprepared for this. I'll just talk about one thing that's been preoccupying my mind when we talk about the Western Ghats and about the Western Ghats panel. So, you know, we had the report by the Gadri committee and then the Student committee. I think you know all the background, so I won't go into that. In the previous session, we spoke about how do we make our voice heard, and there were a lot of suggestions about how do you reach out to government, and there was talking about, you know, speaking with a unified voice, or talking about how people's voices need to be amplified through organizations such as Keystone, or how do people come together and when there is a large enough constituency speaking about something, policymakers, government, everybody listens, and over a period of time change comes about. In the context of the Western Ghats, wherever, you know, to take, say, close to where we live, the Anthropologist project, so there's been enough and more written about it in the Western Ghats panel. There have been public hearings, and you know, there are a lot of details about that case out in the public domain. One of the avenues by which we speak or we try to raise these concerns is either through committees or through these kind of, you know, whenever they are constituted, or through public hearings itself. So we attended 2 public hearings connected with that. What I want to say is that there's something missing in this approach to bringing about change on the ground in conservation, and that's what I would try and call public reasoning. It's not just about speaking out, it's not just about whether people are able to come together and speak up, but it's also about giving, you know, having a reasoned debate in public fora. And today that would mean a lot in newspapers, in places where people talk in public, and maybe to some extent in television also, although, you know, television you just have these talking heads. I know we look like talking heads here, but that often doesn't work. But we need very reasoned and informed debate on these issues. When you talk about the Western Ghats to most people, they know a lot already. You know, it's not a lack of information that we're trying to convey. That there is endemism, there are a lot of valuable forests, most of our rivers emerge from here. This is stuff that most people already seem to know. And I think the environmental movement of the 60s, 70s has laid that groundwork. People are broadly aware. But when it comes to something like the Anthropologist project, or should I take development in this direction rather than that, there are a lot of issues at stake and different concerns. There are scientific concerns, there are technical concerns. You know, as ecologists, there is knowledge that we gather all the time in our own research, but we don't communicate that effectively to people. And that, if we do, it's happening in journals, it's happening in reports, it happens as petitions, an online petition I sign, or I'm a member on a committee, so I go and make a statement there. That's not enough. What I'm trying to say is, where is our forum for public reasoning? Where do we debate these in public? Threadbare, without losing out on issues, keeping the focus on having rational debate on all aspects. That I feel is still missing in the civil society discourse in relation to nature and environment. So I'll stop at that one point.
Thank you very much. So I'll put this question to you, Paul. Since you have been engaged with the Western Ghats movement, and you and your organization have invested a lot in helping that movement go through. As a person who has been an active supporter and an underwriter of many of the risks that the larger group seem to have taken, what's your sort of projection and perspective on what might unlock things in the future? And for all panelists, I would like you to go beyond. This is not a WGEEP panel. This is a panel about Western Ghats per se, and the terms of reference of that had its own sort of very important central things. But do feel free to go beyond and think about Western Ghats as a place, as an idea, as a group of people, as an ecosystem, and not just think about the environmental aspects, which was the remit of the committee. So just a word of comment. Oh, Paul, over to you.
Okay, so a quick personal reflection. I was youngster, 25. I'm now 56, I believe. So I had my first exposure in India in that region. So you can imagine that it makes a large impression. So they're moving between Tukur in Kolar, which is very drought-prone, dry, and the Western Ghats, told me something. Let's put it like that. So reflecting on the previous discussion, the Western Ghats being a lifeline of the Deccan, millions of people, Bangalore Valley, etc., is something I would hope appeals to the middle classes living in our cities, in Deccan and so forth and so on. So, yes, a rational debate, but I also need a sentiment also, a positive sentiment, saying, well, this is actually something worth conserving for its own right. And it's a treasure on our doorstep of invaluable consequence. Now, again, entering that region as a youngster, dynamics have changed. The whole socio-economic fabric has changed, I guess. And also the political landscape, like in Uttar Kannada, etc., has changed a lot. So, bearing that in mind, let's say, large satyagrahas might not be easily mobilized as that was happening in the 1980s. So, but then, as I said, new dynamics, new technology, new aspirations, a new younger generation also, which may have a different approach towards nurturing the Western Ghats. So can we tap into that new reservoir of emotions and attachment? So that's one question I have. Obviously, every time I enter India, and also being on the Western Ghats listserv, and onward and others, being productive in the various media, like a magazine like the Deccan Herald, is still such a progressive magazine. Now, can we identify other media houses which are willing to embrace that pearl, so to say, also? And there are people which have paid buckets of money in Bombay film history, who are now also looking for causes. So Western Ghats originating from the Bombay down. These are new allies we have to tap into. It's a necessity. So let me stop here, but we need new allies. Basically, that's I think that's my hope, and that would be my take on the current situation.
Excellent, thanks. Nikhil, from your work in other similar ecosystems apart from your own work here in Western Ghats, where do you see the opportunities or the gaps in the fringes of either research or knowledge which you think provide, of course, apart from the depressing reality that we are faced with every day, the chinks and the edges, the margins of formal research and practice, which could probably be an opportunity to that thin edge of the wedge where you think new innovations, new thinking is possible? Any reflections?
That's a tough one, because my own work, although I started off as an ecologist, I remember there was a future of conservation meeting in WWF when the Forest Rights Act was being promulgated, and there was a lot of debate between the conservationists and the human rights groups. for and against the act. And I remember a human rights activist from Madhya Pradesh saying to the conservationists, you all have to read in the other disciplines to begin to see different perspectives. And I think that's really struck me as something that we all need to do in our own work, in whatever way that is. So in a sense, the answer to your question, I think, it takes me back to certain very important interventions. For instance, the one that BJ made in the Western Ghats campaign meeting in Keystone many years ago. So zooming out into the economic paradigm that is prevailed then, this was about 6 years ago, it's worse now. So as ecologists, as environmentalists, as people who are interested in conserving this system, trying to see the larger drivers at play that are changing the landscape itself. And I think we pointed to a few this morning. So in a sense, I'm not saying, so there are people who can do that. But as actors, as activists, as conservationists, for us to be able to read that literature and able to make in that area of activism also, right? The political economists, for instance, who are critiquing the drivers of land use change. And the Conservationist report, although you said don't go there, if you read the Conservationist report in conjunction with the Guardian report, I mean, what angered the state about the Guardian report was its very conservationist perspective, right? It didn't give space. The Conservationist report is a neoliberal tract. I'm surprised people actually kind of right, and everybody's forgotten that. You read the national, and so all of the subsequent policies that are bearing on landscapes is becoming more and more neoliberal. So for us then to be able to identify what the larger drivers at play are, I think is so the power is shifting from just being able to influence voices in urban areas or on TV, or media or decking. I don't think that's where the game is in terms of getting urban people to say yes, we'll conserve, or environment is important. I think that mantra we've heard and we're hearing, and I think that game is being played out constantly. But I think there's a different developmental regime, and to know how that is impinging and changing the game. For instance, the reliance on protected areas, right? The huge amounts of money that's coming for protected areas or for no-go areas, in Jairam Ramesh's language, is really then facilitating a complete intensification of development, urbanization, infrastructure elsewhere. It's like a spatial fix, right? You intensify conservation in certain areas, and then you check the box for conservation in that area, enabling a whole different game elsewhere. So if you are envisioning Western Ghats in its continuity, and not in the kind of pieces of intensive conservation in either protected areas or ecosystem sensitive areas, we need to critique the developmental model and critique the intensive efforts on conservation in these islands, the protected areas. So I think, so in that sense, and that alongside a whole range of other things that's going on, the work that Anita is doing with indigenous knowledge, and saying, there is capacity, there is ability, there are customary institutions on the ground that could, if given power down the line, could fill the space that when the state then does collaborate, is able to.
Thanks. So I'll come back to BJ. And this one is if we turn the conversation around, and BJ, I know you have been, and we heard again a recap of your very rich rooted experience in the Western Ghats. You dealt with people not like me, but other type of people from that place called North India. And they have kind of come and copped us, all the time at some tribals in Western Ghats, some small, not even as high as Almora, they're pretending to be special and all of that. So you have a very rich experience of dealing with that kind of a mindset, and they are individually and severally nice people, but overall outcome is not so happy for those fringe, small community called Nilgiris or the Western Ghats, despite its United Nations status and all that grandstanding. So if you were to advise our younger friends here and outside, how might you break that mindset? How might you play the game differently? If you began now or now, then what would you say?
Well, I should start with the caveat. From 2011 onwards, I have not been very active. I will go a little backwards so that I can advise my friends. My senior, LSG is here.
Is there a mic?
I have asked my voice.
Yeah, please speak. Keep pin drop silent.
Okay. I literally lost my voice in environment. Okay, that's how it is. Now, I see this, I'm not an ecologist like Shankar. At best, no matter what little I know about ecology, so these friends. I mean, if you want to call me, have allergy, I'm a social ecologist. I looked at environment as part of a larger societal problem, not from the other way. But I saw the importance of ecology in the larger context of environment. Most of us do not differentiate between environment and ecology. I looked at ecology from the point of environment. When I say environment, the social aspect was most important. Because basically, I am a pro human being, not that I am against nature. I love nature. I was born and brought up here. It's these greens, these mountains, my walking mountains, is something sacred. But the less unfortunate brethren, they make me heart bleed. I took a larger view of the whole thing. This is about 30, 40 years ago. I was a radical leftist, like most of youngsters. But now I was wrong me. Why I started my little presentation with the KVT after 2011, I just teach Buddhist philosophy and Krishnamurti ethics. I do not do any other. I went to the great Dalai Lama and asked him, why are these trees being felled and what we should do? He said, you can't do anything about it. We are violent here. That violence gets manifested in some you're taking an axe and go felling a tree. As long as that violence is there, you can't do anything about it. So you know the world is not easy. I took a long time. So it's part of a continuous work. When we started the environment, people call me, though I'm a little young to be called that way. I belong to the first generation environmentalist in this country. Okay? We all came from, when in 1972, the Stockholm Conference, Shankar is there, the Wildlife Protection Act came. Basically, I'm a lawyer. A successful lawyer, I died from environment point of view. And so, we have come a long way to teach ethics now. We were so glad, we were excited, because there's no such thing. So, from in 72, the Wildlife Protection Act. And many do not know. Give me a little more time.
Yes, please.
This is my first song. I'm not going to speak anyway. After 6-7 years I'm speaking here now. I'm going back to my channel. I opposed all that we, yesterday this was mentioned by Secretary Mr. Krishnan, all that we have in the last so many years of independence is our democracy. Democracy. When this was eclipsed in 1975, I was one of early opponents of that and went to jail. Okay? But emergency had its own advantages from our point of view. The forest that was still there in the state list in the Constitution, under the Constitution 42nd Amendment, Indira Gandhi took it to the concurrent list. Stockholm, no, 1972 Wildlife Protection Act. She came from Stockholm. She was spirited. Poverty is the worst kind of pollution, kind of famous statement. And she promulgated Wildlife Protection Act, which had to be ratified by 50% of the state subsequently, because forest was not in the government of India domain. So forest came into concurrent list. A whole chapter on fundamental duties, very unique. No other constitution anywhere in the world has this. Fundamental duty of citizen. One of the duties introduced there was to protect the natural environment that includes rivers, trees, etc. etc. Great. Which helped us, though it's not enforced in a court of law, it helped us to push things in Supreme Court, subsequently in public investigation. Also, in the directive principle of state policy, there was an amendment, a new insertion, that the state should endeavor to make rules, regulations, and laws to protect the natural environment. So, on the one hand, it's the directive policy of the government to the government, the constitution to the government, and it is the responsibility of citizens. Okay. Having done that, the 1980 Act came, the Forest Conservation Act. It has just only 2 chapters, 2 bars for the state governments. Forestry cannot be used for non-forestry. Okay. Number 2, a reserve forest cannot be denotified as non-reserve without the sanction of the government. The Wildlife Protection Act, the fundamental duties, the directive principles of the Constitution, it's okay. 1980 Act, it tied down the state governments to denude the forest the way we want. This is how we are able to push all the public interest litigation in the Supreme Court. I was part of this process, part of this social movement, mobilization of the social forces to protect the environment, to enhance the quality of my fellow being, as also that of the forest. When we launched this campaign around that time, it's a lot of work. The same Western Ghats marks that. 87 led us on. 87, 88. After the march was that meeting culminated in converting this into a movement. This is how the same Western Ghats movement came into existence in the first week of February 1988. And subsequently it all became secretary, who is what, where, power, authority, who is good, who is good. A noble cause has deteriorated into that out, instead of the ego focus, it becomes an ego focus. We try to get all good people. No, we don't want to mention some of the finest environmentalists that you can find across. First class. But somehow I admire you. I do not know what I do. I will be the central coordinator. Who are you to tell me that I cannot? Yes. And the compromise candidate was me. I was acceptable. I would rather have been there rather than the king. Okay? So, and they started it that none of them cooperated. Until that time, the Keystone emerged on the sea. See, I am not a full-time environmentalist. I was also handling environmentally sensitive cases of the government of Tamil Nadu in the Supreme Court. Yesterday, Madam Collector was there, Mr. Krishna was there. About 80,000 acres of forest and other very rich area in Gudungur Taluk. The government took over the ordinance. Yeah. And that was pending in the court. I was handling that also. I am not a rich guy. I was making a living also. I was in the class court. So all this put together. Then it went on like that in 2000. We had a meeting in Goa. By then, the Keystone was emerging. I needed a very effective operational tool to revive it and take that to a situation where we are here. In 2010, when we met in Goa to revive the Save Western Ghats movement, I told Dave, we agreed to host a meeting in Keystone in 2010. I will take this to a different level. He said yes. I am an activist with my vision. I didn't have the operational tools. With these youngsters they have, I thought I can very effectively use them to push the common cause. It's not just the honey, it's not just the tribal. It is now how they develop. They treat me as honey people. Just a bull on a pond, open up. You name any area in the societal, ecological, environmental friendly development, they put it there to go to that. A beautiful organization. And we had a meeting here. I consider this place, this very place, as sacred. I thought I've reached the end of the road. I wasted my life enough. My good friend, Mr. I told him I'm going to call it a day. You're going to call it a day. There will be a minister, you abuse him and then you go. I literally did that. But there was a sensitive minister. You won't take it, no for an answer. He took his secretary behind the podium and constantly consulting his ministry. I wanted to do something just here now. And he made an assurance he will constitute this authority. How a social movement can bring the government to pass a legislation or constitute an authority under a legislation called Western Ghats Ecology. And that movement was led by panelist. This is considered to be one of the top 10 involved in the social movements of this country. The panel was constituted. Shankar, as a scientist, was close to associate his mentor. Dr. Madhav Gandhi was there. of the great ecologists this country has ever seen. And we produce, Mr. Nitin said, it's a little kind of conservation, not much of scope for activity, therefore it was not accepted. No. I request every one of you kindly read it. The policy of the government under the 1988 policy is, as well as the needle wind company, no? As well as 2018, the 2/3 of the mountain regions should be under forest cover. The whole of Western Ghats is. So therefore we think we declare near 2/3 of that as ecologically sensitive area with zone 1 to 3. As in is this, the Kasturi Rangan panel treated 1/3 as ecologically sensitive and 2/3 as for cultural area, cultural landscape. What is this cultural landscape? It's manipulative zone under the man and biosphere. It's an open area. Quickly, why we should not? We should no. Our report is there. It's a reference point. One of the finest report ever written after the independence. Sir, the Maoists have a website. They highlighted this. And how can we expect the government to accept our report? Why the Maoists has accepted this we suggest we have suggested a constitutional, democratic decentralization of administration of the Western Ghats. In the context of Article 73 and 74th Amendment of the Constitution, centralization, First Rights Act, Gram Sabha, we made it mandatory. Without the Gram Sabha's approval, you cannot have any project which is not acceptable. Now, Kasturi Rangan report specifically says the local community has no right in deciding the policies of the government on development. There's a paragraph on this. Why? Reverend Mani was asking yesterday what kind of development we need. The development is not decided by Pratim and me by 2 cents. It is decided by the political economy of this country, which is neoliberal. Boiling ice cream. On the one hand, he wanted to preserve Western Ghats. On the other hand, it's the political economy, neoliberal. So therefore, I said yesterday, we didn't ask the right kind of question. Because we have not asked the right kind of questions, we got the wrong kind of situation today. Quickly finish with one illustration. I am not against development. We didn't ask what is development. Development is for whom and development is for what. I read in a news item in the last 10 days, the Reliance Group has a mansion, castle, whatever you call it, in Bombay. The electricity bill for that house for the period ending with 1 month, 31st March, is 87 lakhs. You get it? Someone is producing electricity. How many acres of forest we have lost? We are still producing electricity. At what cost and for whom? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So here's the thing. We before I go to KCM, I would request Sneh, Jagdish, and Pratim to be ready with your sort of points of reflection. So KCM, without giving very large examples, and we all know who you are. So I want you to play a little bit of the devil. So there was the Eastern Ghats March. Later, there was first the Western Ghats March. And like DJ said very nicely, eco and eco lost to ego, and many such things happen. What would be your advice to this group of people here? And do you advise them to rest with the idea of Western Ghats, or think of a new paradigm or a new imagery or a new icon which could possibly have greater traction, greater coalition building, and bring people together in somewhat more effective ways, learning from your own grounding of anthropological and social movements and transformation? Like in 3 minutes, as usual.
Ladies and gentlemen, 1987 we had saved the Western Ghats March. There were a lot of expectations. Several things after that have happened now, but there is no time in 3 minutes to say anything about that. Instead, I would now take you to another aspect, that is what is happening on Western Ghats. That is a lot of now construction development. The construction is now gaining grounds because Western Ghats basically two kinds of land ownership exists. One land that is forest land, that is known. But also a lot of land of Western Ghats, it is under private. Right? So the one that is with the private hands, obviously they come under, of course, certain kinds of rule regulations, but that is private. So now on private land, if you move around, I have done that little work in Maharashtra. So it may not be true elsewhere, since I have not really traveled on Western Ghats. What is happening now, say the moment you go 40 kilometers west of Pune, then you will see Lavasa, and you will see so many now projects that are coming up there, right? These are of course not on forest lands. So obviously they are governed by the non-forest law rules, right? Which essentially would mean that 60% it should be under forest is not applicable there. Now what I did, that I interacted with two students of mine who did PhD with me long time back in Pune, didn't get a job, they became they went into the real estate. And using all our tools, techniques of anthropology, they are extremely successful.
This is the fresh news coming out.
And they have, naturally therefore also purchased a lot of land on Western Ghats. So once they said, KCM, we want to show you what all lands we have purchased on Western Ghats. They knew everything about 87, Gauli, and that. All that what we had done earlier. Very nice. So we now go to 200 hectares. At one place they have purchased Kamani Ghat, just around that 200 hectares. And they showed me all the map, charts, these so many plots have been now carved out, and this is what we are going to do there. So I carved it out, and very good. I am very happy you all are, They also told me overall, in so many years, this is what they will earn. And that was closer. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. You keep on adding. That is what they will earn. Evening, we returned to Pune. And then we had a spiritual session. And in the spiritual session, so then I congratulated them and I said, now look, you all are different than those who are in this game. You were student of anthropology, you have done PhD, this. And why don't you now integrate into all these ecological values? They were all excited. What ecological values? I said, yes. We should now develop this your 200 hectares in such a manner that what all area you want to be given, it will be given. But I have seen your maps and there is a very big scope. So they said, what all we will have to do? So I said, tonight, let me dream. Because spiritual session is on, you know. So I said, let me dream. Oh, and let us meet tomorrow evening, same time. Again spiritually. That's where things will get refined, you know. And they will get sanctified. So then in the morning I sat down a little bit, and first thing occurred was that we should at least have 60% might be a little difficult. So first thing is that we should keep national policy in mind, which is 33%. Right? Second one on Western Ghats is 60%. Third one, only native species. Right? And fourth one, the plots to be treated differently, non-plot area to be treated differently. There are 200 hectares, anything that right now is growing should be protected. All that, So evening session on, and then I told them all had real excitement, Yes, we'll do it. I said, but the only problem now is I can't tell you budget. You see, it requires a lot of efforts, which is speaking, how many, that is a lot of work which is required. They were so excited, 5 directors, that is called Green Valley. And 5 directors, all of them, that KCM, you don't worry. You just tell us how much is required and it will be invested. Of course, I had behind a hidden agenda, which I will say last. And finally, then they said how to go. I said we will need a young, dynamic ecologist because somebody has to stay there 24 hours, and long enough. And I knew one, Bhanudas Chauhan. So Bhanudas Chauhan immediately got contacted. Next day I groomed him and made a presentation. So the directors are there. On the spot he was appointed. All settled. And now we have to develop the strategy. Okay? So that I have to go back home. So after a month I came back, spent 10 days again on this site and developed a blueprint for them, what all is to be done. Okay? So now that there it required also integrating with watershed principles because we needed water also there. We had to conserve all the soil, etc. Now I will not go more into detail, but except saying that we have a map, satellite imagery at that point of time taken how these 200 hectares looked. And now it was another one taken 4 or 5 months back, and you see the difference. Already in the total area, it is actually now 65% canopy cover. And in the houses, plots, there are altogether 32 different species planted, That all was done in consultation with plot owners, So mango was most preferred one, etc., etc. Now, this scaling up is the main issue there now. So what we are going to now do is that all that Dr. Kulkarni and Dr. Bhanu, they know many builders. so that they will get together and we will share all these findings with them. Now, in terms of further to the government, here it is not necessary at all, because these are private lands. And if the builder and the owners agree, then there is absolutely no problem. For each plot, 33% is left for plantation, and already trees have been planted. Avenue trees, that is, we have selected 29 species, mostly flowering plants, and these are with cure. So from top when you see, one lane will look you orange, the other one yellow, the other one blue. So all colors are with those are. Then of course medicinal garden, and then butterfly garden, Nashaktravana, and all these things are, many people have done elsewhere, but not integrated here. And we have now also a huge nursery. At any given point of time, there will be at least 2 lakh plants, different species. Yeah. And these are given to the farmers at very small cost, because free is not a good idea. So, but some small cost they are given to people. The medicinal garden, we have linked it with all the Vaidyas of Pune district. So they come there, they have their own meetings, etc., etc. So what I suggest is that we should look into wherever such development on private lands are being done, right? To have a dialogue with the builders, and the hidden agenda was that I knew that the time when we met and started with, they had only sold about 20% of the plots. So 80% still were left. So I knew once all this is done, if they are charging X price now, and when they show the album and many things what we are doing, that they can make X plus. And people will be very happy to buy. And in my presence, I have watched them negotiations, and yes, 10 to 20% they got more for that plot than what they were selling. So that is all, investment is recovered. So this, you see, economy that we are able to show to the builder that they are not losing, then naturally it is indeed possible to do so. This is one area, because this development we can't help it. That on private lands we will do certain activity.
What a difficult plot.
The second one, I would say that we had missed documenting well during our 1987 march, and that is right from Gujarat to Kanyakumari. That it is dotted with a particular type of forest, what we call sacred groves. And the sacred groves of Maharashtra, they have been documented by Professor Gadgil and Dr. Varkar very well. We also did some work there. But Karnataka, for example, it has not been documented well. But Tamil Nadu, except for the Western Ghats, the other area, the Berries organization in Chennai, CPR Foundation, they have a document, they have a book also on sacred groves of Tamil Nadu. That is one area that one requires to document more rigorously and understand. I am not aware much what would be the situation on the Nilgiris. I haven't studied that. Now, here, what is important for us is integrating all this, that is the private land, the sacred groves, the forest, etc., that we must implement more rigorously and urgently PBR, biodiversity registers. And I am very happy to say that I met a month back people from KFRI, Kerala Forest Research Institute, people, that they have begun this process on their own, without our any discussion or so. They have begun on their own, which is extreme. Second, Again, not much of our actually sharing with them, but they have read a couple of things. There is an organization that has come up of people called Mission Devrai. In Marathi, sacred groups are known as Devrai on western side. And they operate from Pune. And there is a tremendous vibrancy. And now this has been integrated in their state biodiversity board. They have integrated this and on priority basis. Now these all those villages where sacred groups are, that PBRs are being made. So that will give the entire scenario, not only about the sacred group, but the other land and water elements in that particular, including status of forest. If forest land is also there, then it will also give the status of the forest one, So I think these are two very exciting areas that one...
Thank you very much. Sneh, 2 points.
Okay. So, the first point I was wanting to say was that since this Western Ghats, there was one question whether it should be kept as an identity by itself or as some new identity. But given the history and the ecology, I think we can't lose that as we can't lose the focus there. So it has to be still as a whole kind of ecological, socio-ecological, whatever landscape. And there the question of what happened and all the history of the Save Western Ghats movement, I think that the role of the civil society groups has been very, very essential. And this fact that BJ says that eco became ego, and then how can we throw it back to eco again is somewhat, I think, the question that is imperative today. So I don't think that there's any reason for us to lose heart about what happened to the Gandhi report or this or that, but to see what is possible today and yet keep the identity of Western Ghats and keep the civil society movement alive. So I think in that sense, re-strategizing in some way is essential, and there could be like good examples like what Casey is saying, that there's hybrid solutions, there's private people, there's sacred groves, there's indigenous people, there's forest department, there are maybe even good governance examples. Like I believe the collector has recently said in Nilgiris that she wants to declare this as a organic district. Now this is the power of a good governance situation which can, there's no need to work with then 1,000 farmers, and then you can have rules and policies which can at one shot change the situation. So I think there can be ways in which we could still influence and nudge and keep the momentum and not say that, okay, because this happened with Kasturi Rangan, now we don't want to kind of, okay, we don't know what to do except for the Google group. So that's one thing. And then the second thing that I had one more point to make was that I think this issue of saying that there are that we all have this land. I mean, the Western Ghats being governed in governed by different ways. So there's protected areas, there's forests, there's private land, and so on. So if we can find a way of influencing all the stakeholders and not shy away from markets or plantation or this or that or any of those characters or the tourism industry or the example of the 200 hectare of land that is privately owned, maybe the cumulative impact can be better. So I think not to address, what I mean is that not to address the whole thing only to the government, but address it to a large number of players. So that's my...
Thank you. Jagdish, 2 points.
I mean, if you look at the policies and campaigns in the Western Ghats over the years. And if you things have been listed. It's a World Heritage Site. It's it's had it's a World Biodiversity Hotspot. A CEPF investment of $6.5 million in civil society. The Kudremukh mines were shut down. Mining is now, in some sense, a little difficult to revive in the Western Ghats in most cases. And it has a system of protected areas, in terms of percentage. Even recently, the Karnataka government in its election campaign, there was a full-page newspaper advertisement which mentioned the number of tigers and elephants that Karnataka has as one of the things that have been achieved and so on. So you would think that if you take off all of this together, it's more than any other ecoregion in any other part of the country has actually. These are all, in some sense, fairly top-down, institutional, government-led, and so on. So now, from what I'm hearing, is that we have to but we have to bring in in some sense, realization of the neoliberal paradigm, which is going to in some sense decide the fate of land use and land cover and associated livelihoods and conservation in the next 25 years, and bring that in as one of the things to experiment with. That's what I'm hearing, that we need to work with the corporate sector, we need to, and it also brings into issues even under the Forest Rights Act, for example, would some of the community rights, would it also include rights to carbon and long-term rights to things like that, which are now part of the overall paradigm of REDD plus and with India's stated policy of having so much of carbon being sequestered and things like that. So I'm just wondering, is this the new phase of the Western Ghats? Because everything else, what can you do? I mean, is a World Heritage Site, World Biodiversity Hotspot, National Park, Sanctuaries, Tiger Reserves, so it looks like this is the only thing that's left, is to manage the neoliberal political economy in a decentralized fashion and achieve some of the things that what Professor KCM was describing, working with real estate or dealing with other. I'm just thinking that is this where we have to get into, where does in some sense it also means that the things that the state can do in the future are going to be limited. So if you look at of what the fight what was put up against, say, mining in the Western Ghats, in Goa and in Kudremukh and elsewhere, and look at the feeble response to the diversion of west flowing rivers which are emerging from the Western Ghats eastward. It is I think that the state's commitment to the Western Ghats is waning, and so we have to be prepared for a completely new phase of so it almost looks as all the things that were achieved, we can't really rest on that. We really need to reinvent many things. I mean, I'm as confused as everybody else, but this is what I'm hearing, and I'm trying to digest that.
Very good. Yeah. Pratil.
Okay. I think Sneh and Jagdish have really responded well. If I really look back at this entire Western Ghats thing since 2009 that BJ mentioned, looking back at it, it was actually not that difficult to convince Jairam Ramesh. People said this was a very major achievement that happened in Kotagiri and here, but I came back with the feeling that, but it was not that difficult. To meet him in Cochin when Lata Undi and me, we spent a couple of hours, and he started to realize that here is a different kind of thinking that we have. And he actually mentioned that this is the kind of thinking he wants Rahul Gandhi to have. This was the conversation that we had at the State Guest House. So, looking back at it, I said that I feel that, okay, if we could do it once with this particular person, we could definitely do it again.
Oh, the times have changed. Oh, no.
So we can do it again with new tools and new imaginations that we have, right? Now, I am of the view that, like Jagdish says, the Western Ghats is taken all over. Looking back at our movement and our advocacy, where we were weak is we convinced one person and we expected that one person from Delhi to run the 53 districts in terms of the central whip, so to say. We did not talk to the 39 MPs to get their stake and what do they have, what are their local narratives and what are their local stories, and take it to another level. Okay, I think there lies an opportunity, some potentials there to be able to break up the 53 districts, to be able to come out with what kind of stories that are still there, to be able to pivot those things. I agree, BJ, times have changed, but I refuse to believe that times are lost. I'm not of that category. I think that there are greater opportunities now than what it was before. We can go into another conversation there. I think one point that KCM mentioned, which Shankar's public reasoning aspect, from public hearing to public reasoning, Paul's thing of looking for new allies, Nitin's thing that we need to change the language and get the human rights activist language into the conservation space, or else we are just forming these small islands and we think we are doing great work. And BJ's thing about how do we push the common cause through all this. I feel the story of urbanization, what KCM has said, needs to be revisited in the Western Ghats, because that's going to be the big market force and that's going to be the big player. So if we are talking about Nitin Gadkari and his ambitions of inland waters and river linking, we have to be able to talk to the construction lobbies and the urbanization people across the 53 districts. Because if you look at the Western Ghats compared to the Eastern Ghats or Central India, these three patches and Northeast, okay, Himalayas are there. These are the only 5 patches where we have some forests and origins of major river systems coming down. Western Ghats has a massive advantage in terms of from the tips of Gujarat to Kanyakumari of communities which are pretty wealthy, institutions which are there, all the educational institutions, all the industries, all the films things. We've been talking about this, but we still don't have the tools in our hands to be able to engage and bring in new pathways with this group. Thank you.
Yes, any quick responses from...
Yes.
So, Vijay, you go first and then Paul. Yeah.
No, we have very eminent people, Shankar, from 1972 till now. The conservation component of the Greece had come a long way, very successful, compared to 1972 and where we were. Thanks to this successful conservation index, every aspect had enhanced, be it the population of elephants, the bisons, the monkeys, the wild goose. They are all coming into our habitat. I can't open my door after 6 because of going low, and after 7, bison used to take the long walk. They don't live far away from the town. Some 6 months ago, a huge fellow came and sat in front of the railway station office. The station master could not open his keys. Without his open, the trains would not run. So instead of all the foreigners who have reserved on this particular day to take the toy train to Sanford, they thought this is better for them. They all came and said, so the bisons are here. Elephants are very, very eminent. Elephant conservation scientists agree in private that we do not know what to do. We do not have the Kali culture here. Elephant is Lord Ganesha. This, no, there was
Now it's going to be.
years ago, there was a conservatorship.
Vijay, point no story.
No, he said, no, next day the forest delegation budget is to be passed. But during every assembly session, these books come. There will be questions about them. Now they are full of the forest department won't treat them as government. They are full of them. So, Shankar, we are living and we call this
Well put. Vermin.
You tell us, no, I also work for people. They say conservation first. What do we do?
Yeah, no, not this. Any other reaction that you have?
But to others want to say anything. So this is a major area of work for us. Now, I live in a landscape outside my doorstep. We have had the same animals walk past. We have leopards walking past our doorstep almost regularly. And on a daily basis, in there we see people alongside gaur, slothbeck, elephants, monkeys, plantain macaques, great hornbills, and it's, in a sense, it's changed my perspective on conservation. And to go back to some of the points that were mentioned earlier, this large focus on creating inviolate spaces, protected areas, is really not enough. Conservation can happen everywhere. It's not in 5% land, 10% land, 33% forest, 60%. It's 100%. Every place, your campus, Ooty town, Madras city, Delhi, all of these places have potential for conservation. And if you recognize that, and if you figure out how to create spaces for other wildlife, they will be there next to you. So it is not a problem in my thinking. It is more an issue of preparation. How can we prepare to live with gaur that will walk past us? We have an observation where there's this big bull gaur standing on a tea estate road about this wide. There's a man turning a corner, turning on a cycle, and we are standing on the other side, safe, and we're saying, hey, he's going to run straight into that gaur, and it's conflict. He's going to get killed. So we are waving to him, trying to stop him. He turns the corner, he sees the gaur, and he stops. The gaur is also there. It's standing right there on the road. A minute later, you won't believe what happens. He rings the bell. He rings the bell of the cycle. The gaur moves gently aside. That's fast.
Yeah!
You can't see the cyclist. The gaur is as tall as the man. He was going behind the gaur on a small road. So I could have framed this whole issue as an issue of conflict.
Fantastic.
But it is also possible that you see cattle egrets gazing with side by side with gaur. Cattle egrets don't harass the gaur don't harass the cattle egret. If we can learn to live with wildlife, we will be like the cattle egrets and the jungle mammals. They will be at our doorstep. So that's one aspect. I'll just add, but I understand that there are issues, there are loss of life, there is damage to property, there is damage to crops. A lot of our work has been to specifically offset that. I don't want to go into a full-fledged talk here, but for instance with elephants, we used to lose 2 to 3 people, we used to lose their lives every year in the landscape. We had ration shops, we had school meal centers, we had houses being damaged, and people couldn't work in the fields. And a lot of it was traced to the fact that people thought of the elephants as a problem. They're coming out of the forest area, you keep them inside. There are too many elephants, they're spilling out. All this narrative. But what we found is that a lot of this conflict is simply because you're unprepared for the elephant. If you're prepared for the elephant, you have advanced information of its presence, you can move around it. So today the tea estates send their workers to adjoining fields if elephants are in this field. The elephants move, the tea estate workers come back the next day. The government has changed the way in which they store ration. They have created mobile ration distribution centers, not fully functional, but that has changed. People store the ration in different locations, damages come down. Human deaths have come down because people get messages on their mobile phones that I know where the elephants are, I am prepared for them today. Leopards move around in the landscape. If I look at our camera trapping data for leopards in this landscape, which has more than 70,000 people, 200 plus people per square kilometer, it's higher than many protected areas. Don't tell anybody, but they're there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So there's a lot to show for.
Okay, I was also a bit hesitant to sit on this chair for the obvious reason that I've been entering and leaving this region for so many times and not been living in this area. I think perhaps one contribution my group can make is sort of offering the mirror which we see, for instance, in Latin America. So some of my colleagues, like Tamara, I think she invested 20 years of her time, worked with Latino colleagues on a similar effort, which is called the Hidrovia. So that is the still, it's been shelved, it's been planned, it's been shelved, it's been planned. It's the largest infrastructure in human history. It's a waterway, Hidrovia. It's connecting Bolivia, Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, the Paraná River, Paraguay River Basin. So, more than 20 years ago, it was a huge concern that led to a coalition, the Rios Vivos, the Living Rivers Coalition. 300 groups, that is unions, farmers, the large indigenous federations, NGOs, academics, across 4 countries. So one of the drivers obviously was the soy imports by Europe, opening up the hinterland, Hidrovia, canalization, and all that. Now, it was too good to be true to have this coalition of 300 groups, and they achieved a lot. They got Brazil to step out because the Pantanal, the largest wetland in the world, was being threatened to be drained. So Brazil was finally convinced this might not be a good idea. But like what you mentioned, yes, there is an issue of egos, leadership. So also that coalition started to get cracks and all that. But the beauty of it is re-emerging in a different shape, because the political landscape has changed, but also there's a new generation standing up. 20 years, so people have grown old, others have stepped up. So new alliances and all that. So, and Nitin, it brings me back to 2 of your observations, which are quite crucial. The one dimension and dilemma is, do you go for like, we only go for the large integral system, and that's the only thing we sort of seek to achieve, and we do not wish to compromise. I think that's a good step. You want the integrity of the system to be acknowledged. Of course, in daily life, you then start nonetheless negotiating on compromises and piecemeal approaches. Isn't it? So that is the definition dilemma we all face. Now, when you mentioned the right-based approach, I think that is equivalent to the Hidrovia issue, because the politicians, they sell this project with promises of employment, promise of flood control, what have you. The same kind of promises being made here. So can we counter that with another narrative which explains, wait a moment, we have another cost-benefit analysis, and your program is likely to also destroy employment, lead to much more vulnerabilities, etc., etc., etc. So it's part of history that is dynamics. There's never a blueprint approach. There will never be an optimal solution. It's just muddling through. But it is essential, I think, Pratim, you're right in that you need some sort of civil society backbone for facilitating other players to come in and join forces. So I think that is our collective duty to see that backbone to be re-strengthened again and reshaped, etc. Let me stop here.
Thank you. So I know there are many more sort of voices in this room, and very experienced ones, as well as ones which are very spontaneous and will work. we will keep this conversation alive this evening over dinner when we meet later. In our sessions tomorrow, some of these will be reflected back. So I'm very sorry to say. Oh, sorry.
If I may.
Yeah, please. Yeah, last. Yeah.
Okay. No, just starting with ACM and SNE and then Jagdish and Pratim. I think there was a very important thread running through all of your statements, and I think Jagdish asked the question very well. Is the state's influence waning? And therefore, if I may rephrase your question, therefore, and all of you asked this, should we be engaging with a certain set of actors, private, tourism, plantations, estates, and so on, that are highly influential? There is a paper that I'm reminded of recently. It's called Sleeping with the Enemy. And it's a paper by William Adams, which I highly encourage you to read. I think it was in Oryx, which is a conservation journal. And he asked this question, you know, what is the danger of doing that? Because you're aligning yourself with the same forces that are causing destruction. It's a highly uneven development that we're seeing today. I mean, if you go back 150 years, and I started with the story earlier, the reason why certain segments of society were made to depend on the forest in a certain way, without being given land, caused their destitution today. Right? They were denied assets, they were denied access to development. So, I mean, and inequality is the thing that we have today. Right? And so by working with the farmers, with the same actors that are aggravating inequality, are we undermining the cause? And the allies that we need are not there, not with the corporates. It's with the people that have faced historical impacts of this, you know, this dispossession. So that's who we need to sleep with, right? And not with these actors. And so, in a sense, how do you? I would say, let's disenfranchise the plantations, the companies, the tourism. I mean, tourism today is a massive cause for, I think, disempowerment of Adivasis everywhere. So, you know, then even asking, can we use, certainly a valid question, and we probably should ask that. Should Gram Sabhas then invest in tourism and enterprises, in red class, in carbon and so on? Perfectly a valid question to ask, but on their own terms.
Quickly.